Republicans in North Carolina have nominated a Holocaust-denying, LGBTQ-hating, gun-loving, anti-abortion extremist Christian nationalist zealot, who also happens to be a black man who hates the civil rights movement, as their nominee for governor. And while usually we try to not make you listen to too much loopy talk on this show, I think you need to hear him for yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mark Robinson, the state's current lieutenant governor.
For me, there is no compromise on abortion. It makes no difference to me why or how that child ended up in that womb. There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth. We are called to, here we're getting ready to get in trouble, called to be led by men. The Christian patriots of this nation will own this nation and rule this nation. I got them AR-15s in case the government gets too big for its britches. Because I'm going to fill the backside of them britches with some lead.
Now, it is worth noting that he was bragging about his AR-15 the day after a white supremacist murdered 10 black people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, which it turns out is completely in character for Robinson, who rose to right-wing fame as a passionate defender of guns, guns, and more guns. So much so that he mocked the survivors of the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, calling them spoiled, angry, know-it-all children trying to tell law-abiding adults that we must give up our constitutional right to own certain weapons, adding that these silly, little, immature media prostitutes need to have a seat in Time Out and shut up. That is the Mark Robinson who was elected lieutenant governor in 2020 and who Donald Trump endorsed last weekend, saying this.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Okay, now, I told that to Mark. I said, I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times 2.
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was assassinated using a certain weapon, a high-powered shotgun, because he was leading the civil rights movement that ensured that Mark Robinson could vote in the South and eat in restaurants without the humiliation of segregation, and that he can stand for election to potentially become the state's first black governor. You know, the civil rights movement that Mark Robinson once referred to on Facebook as, quote, that crap in the 1960s that was the communist rise movement. Facebook is also where Robinson shared his rampant and gross anti-Semitism freely. In 2018, he wrote, quote, this foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash. In 2017, he claimed, quote, there is a reason the liberal media fills the airwaves with programs about the Nazi and the 6 million Jews, and he put that in quotes, that they murdered. Robinson also wrote about how an agnostic Jew made the film Black Panther to, quote, pull the shekels off of your Schwarza pockets. And while he was running for lieutenant governor in 2020, Robinson voiced agreement with a religious leader who claimed that the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are the Rothschild family of international bankers that rule every single central bank, the CIA, China, and Islam. And somehow a majority of North Carolina voters elected that man lieutenant governor. Maybe they didn't know all of that. But it is that Mark Robinson who North Carolina Republican primary voters have chosen as their candidate for governor. Democrats, meanwhile, nominated North Carolina's current Attorney General, Josh Stein, who, if elected, would become the state's first Jewish governor. The irony is kind of poetic. Josh Stein, North Carolina Attorney General and Democratic nominee for governor, joins me now. I guess the obvious question, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. Stein, how do you run against that?
You tell people who are what you're about, what you want to do as governor, and you tell people who he is and what he's about. You know, you asked about the fact that, hey, this guy's already been elected once. I genuinely believe that the voters of North Carolina did not know what they were getting when he was elected in 2020. And my imperative, and our campaign's imperative, is to inform voters, because there could not be a starker choice for people. I've spent my entire career fighting for people and delivering. As an AG, we led the national effort on the opioid crisis. We've eliminated the largest backlog of untested rape kits in the country. We have fought to defend women's access to reproductive rights and everybody's right to vote in North Carolina. Meanwhile, Mark Robinson, you saw it. All he does is fight the job-killing culture wars. And I have confidence that the people of North Carolina, if they have the full information, they'll make the right choice.
So North Carolina is a very close state. It's basically a 50-50 state. The last several elections, Governor Roy Cooper's 2 elections, he won 49 to 48.8, 51.5 to 47. Ted Budd, a very far right-wing anti-abortion Republican, beat Cheri Beasley, the former head of the former Chief Justice of your Supreme Court, 50.5 to 47.3. It's a very close state. Governor Roy Cooper last night, let me let you hear what he said about why he thinks that Cheri Beasley did not win in that Senate race.
The National Party did not support her in 2022 when she ran, and there was a difference of many millions of dollars in what Ted Budd and the groups that supported him spent in this race and what she spent. That's why it's so critical that the Biden campaign target North Carolina.
You expect this race to become a national race and for national Democrats to spend?
I hope so. I expect so, because the stakes are so high, not only for North Carolina, but for the country. I mean, we cannot have somebody representing the 9th most populous state in the country who denies the climate crisis, who denies the 2020 election results, who denies even the Holocaust. We are better than that. But of course, what Governor Cooper said that's fundamentally true is we have to educate voters, and that costs a lot of money. And I hope that folks will support and embrace our campaign. And to learn more or to contribute, you can go to joshstein.org.
And tell me how much abortion is going to play into this race. And I know your video is freezing. At least good, we have your audio, so I'm just letting the audience know that's what's happening. There is now in the state of North Carolina a 12-week abortion ban, thanks in large part, to a woman named Representative Tricia Cotham, who used to be a Democrat, who switched parties, became a Republican, and gave Republicans in the state house a supermajority. Will that supermajority be in jeopardy in this race, do you believe? And do you think abortion is one of the leading issues that will help you?
The answer to the question, both questions, is yes. We are only one vote shy of breaking the supermajority in the Senate and one vote shy of breaking the supermajority in the House. And so we have a dual imperative. We got to defend the governorship, keep the governorship blue, succeed Governor Cooper, but we have to break their supermajority so that my veto means something, because if we don't, they will eliminate women's access to abortion entirely in North Carolina. Mark Robinson has been very clear. He wants a total ban with no exceptions, not for anything, not for rape or incest or the life of the mother. If I'm elected governor, I will veto any further restrictions on women's reproductive freedoms.
And I will note that he also admits on Facebook, where he loves to write, that he had paid the mother of his unborn child, his then girlfriend, now wife, to have an abortion in 1989. He wrote, "It's wrong when others do it. It was wrong when I paid for it to be done to my unborn child in 1989. So he apparently did it as well. Let me very quickly play one more piece of sound from Mark Robinson. Here he is. This is video obtained by the Huffington Post.
I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote. You know why? Because in those days, we had people who fought for real social change, and they were called Republicans. And they are the reason why women can vote today.
So let me just read you his statement. He says that this partisan hit piece from the HuffPost is a pack of lies. Watch the speech while running to become the first black lieutenant governor of North Carolina. Mark Robinson spoke to a group of Republican women, encouraging them to look to the legacy of the Republican Party, leading the way in passing the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote, ending the Democrats' racist Jim Crow laws, and more. So he is defending what he had to say. It doesn't seem to me that he's super smart with his words, though, because saying that you would like to go back to a time when women couldn't vote doesn't seem super smart. But how confident are you that you can defeat this man in November?
His vision is divisive. It's filled with spite and hate. It will be job killing. He wants to hollow out our public schools. My vision for North Carolina is different. It is forward looking. It is hopeful. It is about investing in our people and their futures. I believe the voters of North Carolina, if we do our job and educate them appropriately about the candidates, they'll make a choice.
Josh Stein, and we thank you for sitting through our the Wi-Fi shenanigans and talking with us. Thank you very much. Best of luck with your campaign.